Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight for the August 30th, August 29th, regular board meeting. 30th. I'm a little jet lagged. I haven't slept since 8 o'clock yesterday, so, which is why I have a Hawaiian shirt on. Yeah, it froze up. Madam Secretary, would you call the roll, please?
Yeah, I'm having technical difficulties. Not that I don't know who's here.
Thing froze.
Josh Hitchcock,
Here.
Jeannie Orozco, present. Kelly Pomas,
Here.
Linda Pugh,
Here.
Steve Siebert,
Here?
Naija Major, right here. Woo, woo. All present and accounted for. Here we go.
Fantastic. We have the Pledge of Allegiance. Do we have,
Who's here?
who's going to lead us?
Vanessa Ramirez.
Vanessa Ramirez. I too am having technical difficulties here getting kicked off of.
Work off of
Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Not yet.
Has everyone had a chance to review this evening's agenda?
Yes.
Yes.
Are there any changes, discussion?
No, but can we back up one? We missed the mission
Oh,
statement.
the mission statement. We have Diana Barreras this evening to, did I get that correct? This evening to read the district's mission statement.
Okay. So the mission statement is to graduate college and career-ready students with the knowledge, skills, attitudes, and behaviors to personally succeed and contribute to the common good.
Thank you. Item 2, adopting the agenda. Are there any changes, additions, discussion? Then I would entertain a motion.
Go ahead.
I move to approve the agenda as stated.
Second.
It's been moved by Mrs. Pomas, seconded by Mr. Hitchcock. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Item 3, communicating with the board.
Do I need to do this?
Christine, are we going to do pictures with our awards? Josh? Guys, if you would come up and join Mr. Hitchcock for photos with we have some certificates for you.
All of PSA?
I will.
I don't want to awkward.
Somehow. Thank you, guys. Information for the public. There are copies of the bond information and questions that are available in the back of the room. I don't know if we have anyone here from the public who is interested in seeing those or addressing the board, but that information is back there. Item 3, communicating with the board. We have item 3.1, presentation from Sierra High School, the PASA group. Mr. Craddock?
Craddock.
Good evening. Thank you very much for the time this evening to give you a couple minutes about an exciting trip that our students and some of our faculty members took this year to Peru. So one of the first things that I was fortunate to learn when I came back on board was the great work that they've been doing under the leadership of Megan McDaniel. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to her to give you the total insight, the good, the bad, and the ugly on all the bugs, the hot weather, the humidity. I heard all the stories, and you've seen the pictures in the PowerPoint, but this time I'm going to turn it over to Ms. McDaniel. Thank you very much.
Good evening. I would like to start by just saying thank you to the Board of Education, to the district for supporting the PASA program. PASA stands for Peruvian Amazon Study Abroad. This was our second trip. Our first trip was in 2016. This group, it was a little bit different. We did coursework before we went to the field. So the students spent a semester with myself and my colleague, Dana Bottleson, who is over our Spanish language and culture component of our trip. And we work together with the students to prepare them. Before they go, we try to model it after a college study abroad program. But I know you don't want to hear from me. You want to hear from the students. Oh, and before I do that, I just want to say thank you to Trevor Needham, who jumped in as a chaperone on the trip when we needed him, kind of last minute. So he's also here tonight. So students, come on up.
And every time I move, it signs me off the internet and drops out of the.
Okay. Are you going to put the slide up? Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to start off. Vanessa, I already presented the pledge. So this trip to Peru was honestly an unforgettable experience for me. It wasn't just a fun touristy trip like other schools do, but it was honestly an eye-opening and life-changing experience for me. I understand that not everyone can comprehend how important it was to me because not everyone was there with us, and others might think I might be exaggerating and be really dramatic about it, but it really has completely changed my mindset about my future. So prior to the trip, I thought that I had all my life planned out. I would go to college, I'd graduate, go to med school, maybe be a doctor by the age of 27. I thought I had it all planned out. But then when I went to Peru, I met some people. They had majored in completely crazy things like theater, and then they were there being entomologists, and I thought that was just crazy. I saw that so many doors had just opened for me. My favorite part about the trip was, as you can see, meeting the Yagua, getting to know their culture, trading with them, getting to know how they live their life. When they showed us how they hunt, we got to shoot the blow dart guns. We saw how they make their items that they trade, and then we tried making them too. We had the chance to witness their traditional dancing. We partook in that too. We also we got to enjoy their delicious food. Not only did I have fun doing all those things, but I realized I really wasn't uncomfortable doing all of that. I realized that I was open to learning everything. I was completely intrigued in what they were doing. I wanted to learn more than they were explaining to us. Even though I was really distanced from home and I was separated from the commodities, it still felt great. I realized that maybe I wasn't meant to be in the office, in school, all day in the lab, working with doctors. Maybe I wanted to study other cultures, get to know them, learn their culture through their eyes, through their circumstances, and share their beautiful way of life, and share it with the rest of the world by studying culture anthropology. Without the trip, I would have never had that option. I would have never thought that I was really comfortable with them. I never thought that I was going to be intrigued in the ways that other people live, getting to live with them. Yeah, that's why I thought this trip was really helpful for me in finding out my future and what I want to do with it. Yay.
Hi, my name is Alexis. So my intentions were to get up here and talk about my slide and all the animals and about the rainforest itself. But I decided to talk about how amazing this opportunity provided me with a brand new perspective for the world and gave me new eyes to look through. And I feel like more people should be exposed to it. It was spiritually enlightening to me. Going into this trip, my overall attitude wasn't the best. I was typically negative all the time, and then the experience was so life-changing that I found who I am as a daughter, a student, and a friend. There was one night in particular that everyone was tired. We had made this long journey to the Axe Lodge, and we all just wanted some rest. Miss McDaniel had told us that she had a surprise for us. We went on a short night hike and came across this giant tree. We were all told to turn our lights off and look up. Upon seeing nothing in the sky, they then told us to look down at the ground. And it was like looking at the stars and all of the galaxy. The leaves were glowing with bioluminescent fungi, and we were told to make a wish or pray for something. So once I started praying, I started crying, and I didn't know why. And then after my prayer, one of our guides, Willie, came to me and told me to put my hand out. And then he put one of his hands under mine, and I felt like warm. And he asked me then, did I feel the warmth? And I said yes. And then he told me he could feel a good energy and a pure spirit and a pure faith coming from me. And he said it's very rare that people come on this trip, and he can sense that in everybody. It made me realize that I want to be the good in the world. I want to help others, my family, my friends, and those in need. I never stopped learning. Even now, almost 2 months being back, I still tell people about the little things about being in Peru when I can remember them. The memories and information will never fade.
My name is Alyssa, and I'm going to be talking about the Canopy Walk. I dreamed of this trip since the 8th grade when we went on the high school tours. I was sitting in the front row with Darling, and as soon as they said they were doing a study abroad to Peru, we both looked at each other and said we were going. I got my application and made sure I was the first to finish filling it out and turned it in before the deadline because I wanted to go so bad. May of 2016, I received the acceptance letter, and I couldn't have been more proud of myself. From the day I found out about PASA all the way up until the day we got back to Colorado Springs from the trip, it was an incredible experience. We did many things throughout the 10 days that we were there. During those days, we stayed at the Axe Lodge, the Science Lodge. We went to what was called the Canopy Walk. The Canopy Walk is one of the largest walkway systems in the world, extending 500 meters over the treetops and towering a maximum of 36 meters above the Amazon forest floor. This is where we learned how to communicate with each other without actually communicating. While we were up in the canopy, in the forest at all, we had to learn to whisper with each other so that we didn't disturb the animals. Because, quote Miss McDaniel, remember, we're not invading our home. They're not invading our homes, we're invading theirs. Not only did we learn to communicate better while we were on the Canopy Walk, but we also learned to trust each other better. There were many of us that were nervous going up there because we were afraid of heights. So when we got up there, we literally helped each other each step of the way. It helped me to grow as a person because half the time I've always been closed-minded. And it granted me the opportunity to open up my mind throughout the trip. And if I was granted the opportunity to go on this trip again, I would, because it helped me to grow as a person and grow my mind.
Hi, my name is Darlene, and I would like to start off by saying thank you to the Board of Education for allowing us the opportunity to take this trip and giving us the opportunity to grow and expand in our findings that have made a greater change in our lives. I never really thought I would ever be the person who would travel and be out of my home, but come to find out that I was going to be 3,556 miles away from my home. This trip has shown me that I am much more capable of doing anything and everything I set my mind to. Being in this community was the most touching to me because it spoke my appreciation to my education into existence. I look back and think how I'm beyond fortunate to be given the free education I have compared to all the young kids at the Canal Pinto community who, despite their life circumstances, pursue their education at all costs. This character, I believe, is something everyone should be given the opportunity to live. The characteristic of being accepting of your circumstances and being comprehensive that in our situation, there's always a way out. And it all starts with taking advantage of our education. These kids demonstrated one word that to me motivated me to bring my future into existence, being humble. Regardless of their situations, they all pushed through and managed to be happy within themselves. Literally, the key to life is keeping a solid mindset, and I'm glad I have the support of my education system that allows me the opportunity to find my passions in distinct places.
Okay. So my name is Odalis. So I really enjoyed the trip overall. It was a really good experience, but the part that I liked the most was the clinic. I want to do something in medical. I want to be a pediatrician. So when I heard about Dr. Linnea and she made her own clinic, at first it was like, we're going to go see a clinic.
Did you accidentally summon me?
Ooh. I was like, we have clinics at home, but it wasn't a regular clinic. It wasn't a clinic that you see here. They don't have the same resources we do. And she pushed that clinic and she made it her own. And so it really, the experience was something I thought I would never do, go see a clinic that didn't have the resources. But the part that was most impactful was going to see her clinic, how she brought it off the ground. And when we went, she had electricity, she had running water, she had resources that she needed to help people in the community that we went to. So when we were there, she got to tell us about her life. And she told us how she did her career, she did her medical studies, but she didn't know what she wanted to continue to do until she went to Peru. She went on vacation in about 1992, and she went and she didn't want to leave. She loved it there, and she was there for something medical, and she wrote back to Wisconsin, and she told them that she didn't want to go back. So they let her stay, and now she has her own clinic, and she helps people, and people love her, recognize her for what she's done. So there she helps pregnant women, and she helps people that get hurt, and she's learned to cure people with the nature of the Amazon. So thank you guys for the opportunity.
My name's Dawson. Going to the Amazon rainforest was by far the best eye-opening experience. Being on a plane for the first time gave me a lot of time to think and helped me realize I was going to Peru. It made me pay attention more and look deeply into things. Going to Peru changed the way and how I think. It made me see things from different perspectives, like when I was chopping grass and weeds in the school's garden. To myself, I was thinking back at home I would be using a lawnmower. Then I realized I was in the jungle and I had to do it the jungle way. The trip made me appreciate everything way more. From having water to having water, having hot water, AC and heater, to not having to worry about where my next meal was coming from, to also having shoes on my feet and clothes on my body. Going to the Amazon and just being in the Amazon impacted all my life in a huge way. Seeing people in the communities help one another out made me care more about things. The people there always made sure I had water, made sure beds were made, also kept food for us, and was always checking on us to see if we were feeling okay. Even people from outside of the jungle showed love to their own country. A lady on the plane asked me what we were doing because we were wearing our pasta shirts. I told her we were there to do research and help out the communities in the jungle, and she told me thank you and welcomed me to her country. It warmed my heart and opened my eyes that those people are true to their country and culture, and showed me that I needed to care more about my own. Now anything and everything I do, not only how I'm going to do it my way, but think about how they would do it. Peru will always be a part of my life no matter what.
Hi, my name is Melina, and my time in the Amazon will hold both a special place in my mind as well as my heart, because how it impacted me as a student, but more importantly, as a person. In my brief time, I'd like to describe my favorite experience as well as how it was significant. So when we flew to the Amazon, the plane rides and the traveling was a lot and overwhelming because it was my first time on a plane. And every experience felt so vivid, but the most vivid thing I remember specifically from seeing out the plane window was looking over the forest when we were first landing in Iquitos and seeing how visible the river was from the plane. Soon I'd be on a boat riding that very river. We had talked about the river many times in the class, but the boat rides brought the classroom experience to life. Of all the boat rides, my favorite experience comes from the one we took with Dr. Marie Trone, who was conducting research in the field at the time. The night before, she introduced us to an animal I had never associated with the Amazon before, the pink river dolphin. Her presentation on her research was energizing as a student with ambition to enter the field of human biological science.
Interacting with her and her research, as well as being able to observe her passion for conservation of a very pink dolphin, was very impactful for me as a student. I will forever be grateful to have been a part of a program that reignited me as a student, especially going into my senior year. This trip sparked a feeling of curiosity that I hope fuels me for many years to come. And my hope is that this program continues to grow so future generations of stallions can experience the magic of the Peruvian Amazon. Thank you.
Hey, hello, I'm Diana. So this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity PASA has given me has greatly influenced my perception in my everyday life. This experience is one that I will always cherish because it was very educational, but yet very enjoyable. We as a group got the chance to experience this together while creating a great bond. I had so many enlightening experiences. The one thing that impacted me the most was when we sat down with Christy and Jess, who are also known as the Bug Chicks. They not only showed us some really fascinating bugs, but they also used the bugs to teach my peers and I that we can all overcome barriers in our life. We have to keep our open mind about everything, and most of all, we have to recognize our potential to become the best we can be. This talk was a really big eye-opener for me. That very day, I got the chance to go on the canopy walk for the last time. I had been scared every time we had went previously, and I told myself that I did not ever want to go up there again. But after the talk we had with Christy and Jess, I knew I was going to go on the canopy and overcome my fear so I could watch the beautiful sunset from the top of the canopy, which is something I may never ever get the chance to do again. In that very moment, I was so proud of myself. I realized that I really could do anything I put my mind to, and what Christy and Jess taught me is something I now use in my everyday life. Especially going into my senior year, I feel like anything is possible. I feel this experience has changed my perception greatly. My perception is still continuing to change even after I have came back to the United States. I have seen here that we are very closed-minded and selfish, unlike the people in the Amazon communities. They care about one another and the rainforest, which they call their home, and they love to share their livelihood with the visitors. I'm excited to come back and be able to share my experience with everyone. I strongly believe that we should keep this program because it can very well impact future students in the way it has impacted my life. I feel it is important for us to educate many people as we can to hopefully make a difference in the rainforest's future. The PASA program allowed me to gain knowledge and grow as a person. I will never let go of the memories I made over those 12 days. This experience has greatly impacted all of us, and our hope is that more Sierra students will have the opportunity as well. When Ms. Bottleson and Ms. McDaniel created the program, they proposed that they run it every other year. But since we believe PASA has impacted all of our lives so much, we are asking that the program, that we run the program every year, starting this year with the next cohort, starting coursework in the spring and traveling in July. Yeah. Thank you.
So finally, we would like to thank the Board of Education and all of the support from the district in making the Peruvian Amazon Study Abroad program a possibility for us. We know that without your support, our experience would not have been otherwise been possible for us. We would welcome any questions that you have for us, or Ms. Bottleson, or Ms. McDaniel.
Well, guys, thank you so much for presenting. This is so meaningful to see the pictures. This is something from the very beginning is very near and dear to my heart. The Colorado Springs School believes so much. They have a program called ECS, Experience Centered Seminars. They shut down the entire school, and everyone, their entire school goes on this. And so I was a proponent from the very beginning when it was presented to us, and absolutely am in support of this. It's so vital. There's such a connection that happens there. I like what Alexis said. She said, everyone should be exposed to this. Everyone should be able to. And it would be wonderful if we could shut down the entire district and send everybody with it. That probably won't ever happen. But as far as continuing the program, any support that I could bolster or encourage the board to do, I certainly would. So, anybody have questions for them?
I have something to say. I'm going to try and say this without crying.
Oh, look, don't. Because I'll
Just
cry.
because I know that our youth don't get an opportunity.
Yeah.
And for many of you, this was your first plane ride, not just out of the country, but even on a plane. And you were allowed to do that because we know that it makes a difference to expose you to the world and not just what's beyond your backyard. And I know that my children had opportunities only because of the district and the teachers and those that believe in them and school board. And I know that it changes the way you think when you go out there. And I'm just so amazed and so proud of you that you guys went, because there's really big bugs and I don't like that. As when I ran for school board, one of the things I said was I never got an opportunity. I didn't. And I wanted to make sure that our students did, because you deserve one. No matter where you live or where you come from or what color you are, you deserve an opportunity. And I wanted to see that for you guys. And that's why I ran for school board, because I want you guys to have opportunities that I never got to have. And so I appreciate you sharing your wonderful stories. And I'm sorry that you made me cry. But I just believe in so much exposing us to what you never get to do. I still have never left my own country, and so it's just amazing to hear your stories. And I'm so proud of you guys, and to our teachers that went out there, because taking kids on any trip is not easy, much less to the rainforest, so we appreciate that. And I want to tell your parents thank you, because it's not easy for parents to let their kids go far when they've never left their own backyard. So I'm very proud of you
I
guys.
think you have a chaperone for the next trip.
No.
No?
There's
No?
big bugs.
I want to just kind of piggyback off of that. I don't know where your teachers went, but hi. Yeah, stand up for a second, because can we give you all a round of applause, please? When I think about our district's mission statement and what we stand for and what we want for our students, I just want to commend the courage for you all to say, we want this for our students and we're going to do everything in our power to advocate, because that's what education is. And so I want to say thank you to you. I want to say thank you to all of you. And I'm just grateful to know that Harrison has this as an opportunity. So thank you.
And clearly I'm a Stonewall, so it is so seldom that you are blessed to find clarity and character and peace and growth. And the wild thing is, I know each and every one of these people. Every one of them. I know Miss Bottleson. I've lent all of her beautiful babies. And I know Miss McDaniel and Mr. Needham and every one of these people. And we don't talk to each other like this. I would have never known that she now wants to go into anthropology, or she has become a better person within herself. At the student level, we don't see this within each other. And the only way we know about this is when things like this happen, when we are exposed to being able to be humbled by the things around us, and then it spreads like wildfire does it spread. And I'm so glad y'all came up and told everyone about it. Stand on a rooftop and tell someone about it, all right? If not, thank you so much.
Well, guys, we have certificates for all of you and photo opportunities. Mr. Hitchcock, if you will.
Say cheese. And I'm not going to.
So if you guys will turn around, face the audience, we'll have.
So you have mascara and makeup and all that on. My falsies will fall off. This is not
That's why you don't wear falsies.
But girl, look at these lashes. What do you mean that's why you don't wear? Look at my lashes. Can't be doing like this. I'm a sympathetic crier. It's okay, I'm a sympathetic vomiter too, so if you throw up.
Sign in, and it had
My heart.
on my cell phone, but I had to enter the code.
See, I couldn't even get this to happen.
It's fine.
He wasn't gonna get out of that. Mr. Needham thought he was cool and he is not.
Stated. That was absolutely heartfelt. Did you see them crying?
It's a big deal.
Nobody signed up.
This is mine. Mine's in my hand. I'm like, my other one's in my hand. I'd really blubbered that much. What is wrong with me? You guys be quiet.
Thank you.
Oh, I already did. When we were talking about signing up the roster, I added that to it about the information being back there. Well, thank you all so much. That is probably the highlight of our board meeting. I know it may be a little intimidating to come speak before us, but you all did wonderful. What a great experience, and the support from the board will be overwhelming in whatever we'll be able to do. So thank you, guys. Item 3.2, Colorado State Pupil Transportation Association Administrator of the Year, Dave Hartzell. We wanted to honor you, Dave. Dave was nominated and selected for the Colorado State Pupil Transportation Association Administrator of the Year because of his outstanding leadership skills. Dave leads by example. He would never ask his employees to do something he was not willing to do himself. In the 13 years he has worked in this school transportation, he's brought in new technology, innovation to make sure that the department is always moving forward, encourages professional development, and has built stable and strong relationships with the schools and administrators. Since coming to Harrison District, he worked to reestablish the third grade safety program, implemented a bus replacement plan to ensure our fleet stay healthy, new radios and camera systems on every bus, remodeled the kitchen and every office in the building, purchased new computers, new routing, and fleet maintenance software. And on top of his daily duties, Dave has come in to shovel sidewalks at 4 a.m. and will be the first to offer a driver a route if needed. Dave firmly believes in a professional development and encourages staff to attend trainings and conferences. He also encourages them to be involved in the Colorado State Pupil Transportation Association committees. Currently, Dave is beginning his 4th year as the Pikes Peak Region's representative on the executive board for CSPTA. For 13 years, he has been a part of the Pikes Peak Transportation Consortium, serving as chairperson for 11 of those years. Transportation has got to be one of the most overlooked, thankless positions. You're in traffic, and we all know what it's like driving out there, driving a bus with students' health and well-being is quite a task. So I applaud every one of you for doing something that I personally don't think I could handle myself. So there's a tremendous amount of admiration. So we have got a little token for you here.
I like to be the gift giver.
It's his month, so.
Oh, say cheese.
Stage that again.
Got you. Sweet.
Item 3.3, we have a report from our current Sierra senior, Miss Naija Major. Naija?
And that is I to say senior. All right. So school has started back for everyone. We're super excited about it. I think we're at the end of week 3 now, which I can hardly believe. It's insane. We kicked off this week with a Spirit Week, and it started off with color wars. So seniors wore yellow, freshmen wore purple, so on and so forth. We kicked their butt. Mathletes versus athletes, and I've never been one to play sports, so we put some tape around my glasses. We were all right. Today was school colors, so stallions, we have our red and our gold. And tomorrow there is no Spirit Day because it's picture day, and no matter how cute I think I am, that ID will humble me. I can't wait. our homecoming is coming up. We're super excited. Our football has already kicked off, and they are prepping to beat Harrison this year. And our theme for homecoming, wait for it, the 90s. Who remembers partying in the 90s?
Remembers that was our life.
Right? Right? No? Okay. And so due to that awesome Spirit Week we just had, we had our very first pep rally today. We did welcome our awesome Mr. Craddock. He left before I could wave to him like that. But he's been our principal before, and he came back. I had just met him this year. My eldest brother, he was at Sierra when he was principal there, so nothing new to him, but super new to me, and I'm super glad to be meeting him. He's a really awesome principal. And a little bit stating the obvious, hey, Sierra's presenting today, you guys, my school, coming to represent. Might be a little late on that one.
Never too late.
Never too late. Because the year's kicking off, I don't have too much to say, just lots of good news, lots of things coming up, and I promise I'll have some numbers for you next time. That's it. Easy peasy.
Naija, I always appreciate your insight you've got. That is why we have student reps on the board, because there's a cross-section that we won't ever get to see and appreciate, even in the pre-meeting, all that you have to add. So thank you very much for doing what you do. And we're looking forward to adding a second one from Harrison, so be a part of that.
Friend.
Does anybody have any questions for Naija? Anybody else? Comment? No, all right. Item 4, public comment. We have the roster, and no one has signed up to address the board this evening. So we will move to item 5, matters reserved for board action. Item 5.1, bond election and questions. Opportunity Harrison and Dr. Burhansel. Mr. Rogerson is not with us tonight. Do we have anything to present this evening that is different than the work session that we had?
We don't have any new items unless there's other questions about the bond for either myself or Opportunity Harrison and Anthony.
No, okay. I don't. We deliberated this. This is something that's been in the works in some form or fashion for half of a year now. It's molded. It's morphed into a very pointed need for the district. I'm very excited to have partnerships with all of our charter schools, with Opportunity Harrison, with the Legacy Foundation. There's a tremendous amount of support, connection with the community. It's very encouraging. So tonight we're going to look at a resolution calling for an action on November 6th to authorize the increase of general obligation indebtedness by the district and authorize the levy of ad valorem property taxes to pay for such general obligation indebtedness, and setting the ballot title and ballot question for the foregoing. For members of the public, there is information on the exact ballot language wording if there's any question. No one signed up to address the board about that, but in pure transparentness, we wanted to have that information out there. I'll tell you that politically, I would probably be the strongest adversary of raising taxes, spending public funds in the world. I would have to convince myself before I would ask anyone else to be a part of this, and through much deliberation, work with the board and staff. I know that Dr. Burhansel and Mr. Rogerson have put a tremendous amount of effort into this, along with Mark Wilsey and others. Shelley, we've had bond experts come talk to us and inform and educate the board. So with that, from my own personal standpoint, all the negatives that I would have stood against this have been eliminated for me, and so can move forward. Board, is there any other information that we'd like to discuss before we bring up? Well, with that, I would I would entertain a motion to approve the resolution that I had previously read. Typically, as board chair, I would not make my own motion, but in this case, I feel that in this instance, I wanted to make the motion. Do I have a second?
You had to Bogart. I second.
It's been moved and seconded. Let's take a roll call vote. Madam Secretary, would you take a roll call vote?
Joshua Truck.
Present.
Are you in favor?
Oh, aye.
He needs instructions, sorry.
Sorry. Aye.
Jeannie Orozco, aye. Kelly Pomas.
Aye.
Linda Pugh.
Aye.
Steve Siebert.
Aye. The ayes have it. It's unanimous.
I'm going to say, next.
We have an approved ballot measure. It's with that, we do have Anthony Carlson here this evening. We have several staff members. Several have left. We want to make sure that we have good contact information. If you have questions, to reach out to Anthony and Opportunity Harrison. Christine, would you make sure that Opportunity Harrison's information is sent to building admin to include both James Irwin and Atlas Charter Schools? Am I missing anyone to include in the contact? Anthony, do you have, does that group encompass what? Okay.
It's for real now.
Thank you. That's exciting. That is a big step. This is a hurdle that we haven't had for many, many, many years, and we're very far behind the negative factor. We've talked about such things, but funding is so critical in public education, and from input from the staff, from the excitement that we've had, I'm very encouraged. This is an exciting time. So, moving on to item 6, monitoring board performance.
What about the resolution?
Oh, we have, I'm sorry, I skipped right over. Item 5.2, we have Amendment 73 resolution. We had a presentation at the board meeting. I know many districts are supporting the resolution. We've had some discussion and feel that support, if you look geographically and demographically at our district, this is a win-win for our population. Without going into all the information about the amendment itself, it's sort of a financial equalization for levying taxes. I see, did Shelley just step out? I was going to see if she had anything that she wanted to add from our CASB representative. Really, the net effect on the housing values in Harrison, the mean and median housing values, and the average salary within D2, the effect would be negligible. So this is all bonus. This is something that as a district we should support, and as a board we should surely support. So I'm in favor of having a resolution to support Amendment 73. And if anyone, I know that there's more information. I don't know if we have it on the district website, but if we don't, we should have.
Back there.
Is it back there?
Miss
I didn't see it.
Mrs. Becker just snuck in. Again, we're just talking about supporting amendment, creating a resolution to support Amendment 73. Is there anything, you missed out on what I shared. I didn't know if there was anything that you wanted to add. There's an information sheet in the back as well on this. I had just mentioned that the district, it's a win-win and should wholeheartedly be supported by the board from my opinion, so.
I think she should share. It's a little clearer.
Nothing like putting you on the spot right away.
Right. I have to
Just
say,
wing
this
it.
is a very exciting night, and I find myself having tears back here. So really want to thank all of,
Oh, good, I'm not the only one.
and this isn't me, oh my goodness. But really thanking our Bond Financial team, and all the work we've done over the past 3 to 4 weeks has been monumental to our team here at Harrison, HSD2. We are Harrison. And I'm really excited for this opportunity because it's a big game changer for us. So thank you all. We know we still have a lot of work ahead of us, but we're very excited to get to this point. There's a lot of just final moments. So thank you, all of you. So to tag with that, Amendment 73, we had Susan Meek with CASB come and present, and really excited. Again, another game changer for Harrison School District. So if this is a statewide ballot initiative, if it were to pass, it means approximately $21 million annually for Harrison. And we as a district would not be able to pass or have a high enough mill levy value, because there is a cap for mill levy overrides. We would never even be able to generate this type of revenue. So it really is a game changer. It's exciting too. It's pretty local control. So as we talk about in our resolution, to look at compensation and other things. So again, it is a statewide ballot initiative. Just like even to get to this point for us tonight, the same thing with Amendment 73. There's a lot of pros and cons out there, and it is going to take a statewide effort, but very excited for Harrison and what it can do for all of our students.
Well, and the message, and I kind of hit on this, I breezed over it pretty quickly, was all of a sudden we're going to see, well, they're wanting the Amendment 73, and we have a bond. The net effect for the voters in D2 will be very negligible.
Oh,
This is a
very
win-win.
minimal, or
Yes.
not at all.
And in some cases, probably a benefit with if you look at the way the bill is written, the property taxing will probably decrease for some.
Correct. That is correct. And interesting enough, a number of other school districts that have been discussing doing a bond and a mill levy override have thought otherwise and have maybe set aside the MLO in effort of the bond and to support Amendment 73, the statewide initiative. So very exciting. And again, I'm sure we're all going to hear more about it, but if you would like any other additional information or updates at some point in time, I know CASB would be happy to do that.
Educating our voters will be critical about this one to really understand the benefit to them.
Yeah, this is great. Yes, great news and great for Harrison, great for our students.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shelley.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, what an emotional night. It's
We're all back in school
That's for
and
this
all.
man.
Steve, could I just reiterate that both of these are because we've lost over $90 million since 2009 as a district, and so there is a need in our district, but if with Amendment 73, we have committed as a district with the resolution that we would look at that 21 million to really look and address staff compensation. And so I'm proud to say we're not just adopting a resolution to support the amendment, we're adopting it to support addressing staff compensation.
yes.
Thanks, Wendy.
Operational funding, absolutely. And when Shelley mentioned local control, this is not something that the state can play a shell game with. It was written very, very pointedly to be able to safeguard this earmarked money for the districts. It's not we took it and now it'll be a road fund or something. They have that ability is not out there. This is a very well-written amendment, so something that we really need to educate our voters and be behind. So with that,
Somebody needs to read it.
somebody needs to read it. Do I have a volunteer, Mr.?
Well, if it's correct, I'll read it, because I think the last time I had to read something, I had to reread it.
Then reread
Yes,
it.
you did.
Bear with me, this is a page and a half, but we'll get there, I promise. So this is the resolution in support of Amendment 73. Whereas the Harrison School District 2 Board of Education believes that every student should have the opportunity to reach his or her full potential and to participate meaningfully in the civic and economic life of the community. And whereas the Colorado way of life provides every student the chance to succeed regardless of their zip code or their learning needs, and whereas quality public education develops a competitive workforce that will drive a vibrant Colorado economy for decades to come, and whereas Colorado is experiencing a teacher shortage crisis and many teachers in rural districts do not make enough salary to meet the cost of living, and whereas Colorado's investment in education is lagging behind other states, Colorado ranks 48th nationally in personal income invested in education, and whereas education funding has not recovered from the recession, in the 2018-19 school year alone, Colorado schools are underfunded by $672.4 million, and whereas the loss of the Harrison School District 2 has been over $93 million since 2009, which could have been used to maintain buildings, provide adequate compensation for staff, and upgrade security and technology. Whereas reduced funding is directly impacting the district's ability to provide meaningful educational opportunities for all students, and whereas the reduced funding also limits the board's ability to respond to parents and community input on the district's programs and services, despite the board's great desire to engage with and respond to its community. And whereas Amendment 73 builds on the success of Colorado's public schools by expanding students' educational opportunities to prepare them for success in college, career, and life, preparing a qualified workforce for decades to come, and ensuring that Colorado's economic prosperity is shared with every community from corner to corner of the state. And whereas Amendment 73 will bring Colorado's investment in public education closer to the national average by raising $1.6 billion annually, provide sustainable support for schools by stabilizing school property taxes, provide additional funding for all students, and address the kindergarten and significant increase in funding for early childhood programs, special education programs, at-risk students, English language learners, and gifted and talented students. And whereas Amendment 73 gives local school boards greater ability to respond to parent and community input and provide programs and services to meet the needs of all their students. And whereas, if Amendment 73 passes, the board commits to focusing on the following priority: staff compensation, while acknowledging that priorities will evolve as community engagement is an ongoing process and revenue from Amendment 73 is annual funding. And whereas the board declares that Amendment 73 is a matter of official concern, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education officially declares its support of Amendment 73 for the purpose of increasing funding of public education in the state of Colorado, and the board authorizes the expenditure of district funds to distribute factual summary regarding Amendment 73 in accordance with the Fair Campaign Practices Act, Colorado Revised Statute 1-45-117, adopted and approved this 30th day of August, 2018.
Thank you, Mr. Hitchcock. Well, having a resolution read, I would entertain a motion to approve the resolution.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second. Oh, my goodness.
It's been moved by Mrs. Pugh, seconded by Mrs. Pomus. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
You guys never clap. Killing me here.
We don't ask for much in salary.
Item 6, monitoring board performance. Item 6.1, annual work plan. Has everyone had a chance to review this evening's annual work plan?
Yes.
Do we have any changes, additions, deletions, suggestions?
No.
No?
Do we add? We're supposed to add something.
Next week's work session.
Okay. I'm like, I thought we were supposed to add something.
Jeannie's thinking we're missing
Can't
something,
remember.
is not remembering.
It's late. I cried. It's over.
We have another meeting in 5 days. We'll probably
Another
be able to
meeting.
cover it then.
We had a meeting 5 days ago.
Item 6.2, legislative updates.
I think we just did that.
Yeah.
That was enough legislation for this evening.
Update on Amendment 73.
I have not had a chance to talk with Matt Cook, our CASB representative. He usually briefs the board presidents about once a quarter, Region 6, on what's in the House, what's in committee, what's coming out, why it's being supported and why it's being, and I have not had a chance to talk to him, so I have nothing to add. With that, we'll move to item 7, Superintendent Consent Agenda. We have item 7.1, the July-August Personnel Report. Has everyone had a chance to review the report?
Yes.
Do we have any questions, statements? Dr. Burhansel, do you have anything to add in trends or kind of where we stand, if you want to just maybe update us?
No, I think we probably want to acknowledge the principals, though, for getting teachers in classrooms, because our classrooms are filled with qualified teachers at this time, and we know we had a lot to fill, so they've done an excellent job of getting teachers in front of students so that our kids can learn starting from day one.
Having been here for New Staff Institute, watching that group come through, there's a tremendous amount of effort that was put together from, well, all the departments, technology and CIA, GT, everybody had a hand. Mr. Longmire was very involved. I would like to commend all the hard work that went in. I don't want to say we had a nearly insurmountable task of staffing, but it was certainly, as a whole, overwhelming in the beginning, and I just want to thank all of you for the work and dedication to put a person in every one of those positions. And I've received a lot of feedback that's very encouraging and positive, so continue to share the positive as well as the negative. We don't hear that maybe as often as you guys might think that we hear some of that. We really don't. Usually it's the squeaky wheel that gets the grease, and all we hear is negative. So there is a lot of encouragement. I feel very confident in the direction we're going. Item 7.2, May financial statement.
Oh, I know.
She's looking down at her phone again. Is there anything to add from the May financial statement? Do you have anything you want to know? Item 7.3, review November calendar. Dr. Burhansel, would you like to give us a quick synopsis of what we're talking about?
Sure. So in sticking with ensuring that we take care of our employees and make sure that we have a work-life balance and doing the right thing by our staff, we did go to take the week of Thanksgiving off for all of our students. We were the last district holdout in the area. This will allow our students to travel with their families or be with their families or whatever that might mean for them. We also have a lot of staff off during that time, but we had a group of staff, our 245 employees and 261, who still were scheduled to work Monday and Tuesday. And so this would be a request to give them those days off and they don't have to take their vacation. We would shut the district down. It would also save the district money because we're not going to have people in schools, but allows our staff to all be with their families and friends, which is really important for us.
I know a couple of years ago this had come out of calendar committee, and it was a 4-1 vote to approve, and so I guess I could say I'm very happy that it's been reversed and changed, because I was never a supporter of that in the beginning. Not to jump on a bandwagon, but it's in minute records that it was a 4-1 vote to approve those calendars. So I'm very excited to see that. Along with that, we have a separate, so this is really just a calendar change item. That's not really going to affect a holiday type item. 7.4
Can I
is,
just go back and make sure that their pay will not be affected either?
Correct.
Yes.
Are days being added to the calendar for those?
Does this mean now
for
they
those
can move up
contact
to the
days?
front row? Because
We
they
have-
all sit in the back.
It's me, I'm
We
scary.
have built-in days to meet state requirements for our contact hours.
Yes.
Correct, yeah.
And
I just
students
wanted
are
to-
already off during this time, so it affects only adult employees.
So item 7.4, December calendar change.
Let's not tell them unless they move up to the front.
Well, in their defense, all the kids were up there, and that's
No, the
that's
kids were in the first 2 rows. They sat in the very back row. They're grounded.
What's the comment in church? Show up early to get a good seat in the back. Isn't see every head? That was like the wave going.
She said, yeah.
Show up early to get a good seat in the back.
Next time we're going to switch and we're all going to sit on that side.
Item 7.4. Would you talk about that a little bit?
So 7.4 addresses December calendar. The board has graciously given year-round staff 1 day or 2 days or whatever it has been. We wanted to get ahead of the curve, and if we're really going to give that to staff, allow them to make Thanksgiving with the November and holiday plans with their families and get that out for staff. Ideally, we would just build it into the work calendar going forward, but this year the work calendars have already been published and printed. So looking again at giving 2 days off of the 27th and 28th with paid leave for all of our year-round staff on 245 or 261 calendar.
And this won't affect, there are already a large segment of staff who has this time off. Students are off during this time, so that the segment that would be affected would be isolated. This is not, I know that in the past we've had, it's gone out and it was, went to other areas of staff that thought that there were an additional 2 days or something. So it's really just the staff that's working on that, the small segment of staff that's working on those 2 days. So just to be clear to the rest of the staff. With that concludes item 7. So under consent, do we have a motion to approve the superintendent consent agenda?
I was going to say they clapped and we hadn't approved anything yet. So before we move, I thought we had a request for them to move. I'm just kidding.
Look at
She's like, I want my days off.
Whatever you need, guys.
I move to approve the superintendent consent agenda items as stated.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Hitchcock, seconded by Mrs. Pugh.
You can clap.
Any further discussion? No. Well, I would like to add before we take a vote. The board writes policy. The board establishes culture and climate. That's about all the board really is responsible for. And this is hopefully a huge step in culture and climate, the support of those who make it happen. That's really the belief of these 6 individuals and our COOs, Dr. Berhansel and Mr. Rogerson. So with that said, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thanks for moving.
You bet. I'll stay here.
You just said that.
I'm here, guys.
Almost done. We're almost done.
Item 8, board consent agenda. Item 8.1, approval of minutes from the June 5th, 2018 work session. Does anyone have any changes or additions, adjustments to the minutes?
No.
Item 8.2, approval of minutes from the June 21st, 2018 board meeting. Has everyone had a chance to review those and have any changes to that?
No change.
No? Item 8.3, OE3 indicator report, treatment of stakeholders. This was put under board consent agenda, typically only results we want to be very transparent with. We had talked about this and deliberated probably longer than any other item on the agenda last week, even though Ms. O'Brien was not with us. So Dr. Berhansel took the brunt of the board's questioning. I think the intent is all the board satisfied that what we have is what we wanted in that indicator.
Wendy, can you just really quickly review? I see the terms. I know how we changed them essentially, but like I just want to understand the thinking around some of the things that you did settle on in terms of the indicators.
Want to speak to it, Christine?
Or Christine.
Uh-oh, back impromptu on the spot.
Her turn to be on the spot.
Good evening, members of the board, and thank you for letting me move my child to college rather than talk to you about OE3 that night. After listening to the conversation returned to me through Dr. Berhansel, we did decide to go ahead and add back in the first bullet that you're seeing that was struck out. So we've added that bullet back in. We have changed a little bit just to gain some perspective around percentage points. And I apologize, I don't have the OE in front of me right this minute. But do you have specific questions, Ms. Pomas?
I think Josh had mentioned a few times about the idea of the percentage and how it can be convoluted in terms of us trying to measure these things. And so I guess what I wanted to hear was how you did it end up settling on some of the language in terms of the percentages.
How they were arrived last time?
This time, in terms of the changes.
Really, we just added back in, so we would be tracking that through our survey, and we ask very specific questions that are lined out for you there. And let me grab Dr. Berhansel's.
Just wanted to make sure, because your points last week.
And part of the conversation was about method of how they're going to give feedback or how they're going to participate with giving feedback. And that would be shown in the monitoring piece. So through the monitoring piece, we could show this percent use this to give us feedback, or this percent wants this type of opportunity to give feedback. So that would be shown when she presents the monitoring piece of that indicator.
Right, so I think the big concern is how many modes of feedback versus how many people believed they had the adequate opportunity to provide feedback. So we will ask the question, do you believe you had adequate opportunity to provide feedback? And then we can tell you how many people participated in all the varieties of ways quarterly.
Helpful, thank you.
Does that help?
And I think to maybe clarify, part of the discussion at the work session was, is there a group that's not responding to the survey because they're not being communicated with, and we're missing that segment. And I know that we've received some feedback. I know Mrs. Pugh has, that there are some non-tech stakeholders in the district that we want to make sure that the method and methodology is capturing as well. And I think there'll be further discussions about some other communications, not just within the OE, but in general as we move forward. So that was probably the spirit of the discussion rather than the points of.
I see your point, and I think to that point, we provide ample opportunity that are non-electronic. Lots of opportunity to actually show up and to have a two-way face-to-face discussion. It's difficult to catch or capture the percentage of people in a survey that maybe would reflect that, yes, I've had a conversation, I've attended a community coffee, I've attended a stakeholder luncheon, I attended the Back to School Summer Fest, and I had these face-to-face opportunities with the district. So that's an ongoing struggle that we, welcome feedback to solve that.
Thank you. Any other, did that help, or is not?
No, it did help, because I think we were going back and forth so much with this. I just wanted to really understand and confirm that why these numbers were what they were. So,
Gotcha.
thank you.
Any other feedback about?
No, I think this is just one of our ongoing discussions, just that we're making sure that we're reaching everyone in Harrison School District 2 and not just those affected in the schools or parents, but our voters and our constituents that we are supposed to answer to. And so I think it's just ongoing when not everyone is as tech savvy and can't get in, but we still value them. And so it's just going to be something we continue to drive home, I guess.
Well, and we feel the same, as far as no one signed up to address the board from the public. So if you're not willing to come tonight or reach out, there is a give and take and ebb and flow to that we get.
Well, we're excited that the board will be out there helping us to further that mission and talk to people face to face and make those connections with our stakeholders. And then OE10's coming to a board work session soon, coming to a theater near you. Thank you.
Like next week?
Thank you, Ms. O'Brien.
Yes. All right.
Okay, with that, item 8.4, I would recommend a motion.
Sweet.
Do we have a motion on the table?
To approve the board consent agenda items as stated.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Mr. Hitchcock, seconded by Ms. Orozco. All in favor? Say aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
All right.
Item 9, with no further business, we're adjourned. Thank you all for being here tonight.